bring it
Okay.
up.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. So thank you so much, Shanira, for having me over. I appreciate the opportunity to help you get your home sold this time.
No problem, Gabriella. Thank you for calling me and for setting this up.
Absolutely. All right, great. So I'd like to I took some notes from our conversation earlier today. So I just want to review some stuff with you because you told me that you wanted to sell this home in order to buy the new one that you're looking for. And you're doing that because you're looking to downsize, right? I mean, the kids moved out. Now you guys are empty nesters and you're looking for something smaller and easier to maintain, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yep. So it's become too much for us. So that's pretty much why we want to try and get out of here if we can get the price that, we need to get.
Absolutely. And my goal when working with you and any seller, I mean, is to help you sell the property for the most amount of money with the least amount of hassle, right? And the shortest amount of time
Okay.
too. So I can get you to your ranch style house there. And so Shanira, I'd like to just jump right into the marketing aspect because you shared with me that what you're looking for in an agent is somebody that's going to, one, be proactive in communicating with you. And so we'll get into that too. And then also somebody that is going to have a strong, proven marketing plan to get things done this time, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned over the phone, our last agent barely, spoke with us. They took photos with their phone as well, which I guess is fine, but I've seen other, listings where professional pictures are taking. Is that something you would do as well?
Absolutely. Yes. All of my listings have professional photography and videography. So,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Definitely no iPhone photos over here.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better already, so thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I want to share with you is this. I mean, has anybody ever shared the differences between active versus passive marketing in real estate?
No, I'm not sure, to be
I'm
honest.
listening. Oh,
Okay.
I do.
Oh, Tanisha. Okay,
Oh, sorry,
so
I'll let you out.
no, you're good. So, Shanira, the difference between passive versus active. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but there is 15,000 agents locally in our area. Were you aware of that?
No, that many, I had no idea.
A lot of agents, and I know some of them were calling you too, right? I mean, out of the 15,000, I mean, about 10 of them decided to actually pick up the phone and work. And see, the
Yeah.
crazy stat about this 15,000 agents is that over 70% of them, they still have yet to sell a home this year, and it's the end of September.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a
Okay.
lot of that has to do with passive approach when it comes to marketing. So 99% of agents in our market are what's called a passive agent. I mean, when they work with the seller, a family member or a friend gives them a listing, right? They are going to do the passive activities, which means I'm going to put a sign in the yard, I'm going to put your house on the multiple listing service, and now maybe I'll host an open house or two. The point is you're just going to wait, you're going to sit back and you're going to wait for buyers to find you. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we had, buyers coming in
mhm.
when the house was first listed, and my agent did do some open houses. So yeah, I mean, what else would you do differently, Gabriella? Because obviously, aside from the professional photos, which I think would help,
Yeah.
what else would you do to make sure that, we can get top dollar for our home and that we actually can get it sold this time?
Absolutely. So what I was going to mention is that aside from the professional photography, the videography, all of that stuff is included. That is a very baseline that most agents will do.
Hmm.
So I'm part of the 1% of agents in our marketplace who is a very active and aggressive agent. So this is what I mean. I actually prospect. Have you ever heard about prospecting or know much about sales? Okay.
No, no, I'm not sure.
So I don't wait for my phone to ring and somebody to call me and tell me that they're looking to buy. I actually spend half of my working day, which is Monday through Friday, 8 in the morning until noon, actually finding buyers for my sellers and more sellers that I can add value to. So I get to speak to anywhere between 30 to 40 new people every day about buying and selling real estate. And
Oh, wow.
the cool thing about this is that on average in North America, The typical person knows anywhere between 4 to 5 people who are talking about buying and selling in a given year. So you can
Interesting.
imagine, yeah, the more
But
people
that brings up,
I do.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Gabriella. That just brings up some questions, right? In my
Mm.
mind as you're explaining to me the way that you're explaining prospecting is helpful to me. Um, what should I be worried that if you're spending so much time, on the phones, looking for homeowners that need to sell their house and helping people like me, can you explain how that actually helps me as if we decide to hire you, how is this activity going to actually make sure that we can find a buyer quickly for our home? Are you going to bring the buyer to purchase our home as well?
I love this. I love this question. This is so good because you're like, okay, you're spending 4 hours, right, of the working day, like finding more people. So the really cool thing about this is that is my time where I'm working for you. I am
Okay.
actively looking for buyers and I am confident that I can help you find the right buyer quickly looking to pay the most amount of money. And so what's interesting about this is I had a seller where because what I also do is I door knock around your neighborhood. So I call people like you. Then I also grab data about 3 to 400 homeowners, right? So their names, their numbers, and their addresses, and I call them and I ask them, who do you know that might be thinking about moving to our area? And I do this for all of my listings. So I
Okay.
don't just sell here in Raleigh, I sell all across the triangle. So
Interesting.
yesterday I had a listing in Cary. I was door knocking that area. I found a seller looking to purchase in a different part of the triangle. So you
Oh,
could see
wow.
the more listings I have in our area, the more buyers I have access to where I can actually cross sell listings. Does that make sense?
Interesting. Yeah, yeah, that does make sense, Gabriella. So if we decide to hire you, right, does that mean that we can expect to pay you not only the listing agent commission, but also the buyer portion of the commission if you bring the buyer as well? How does that work?
Yeah. So you're referring to dual agency. So I'm actually, obviously looking for buyers. There's over 1,500 agents within my company here at EXP in the Triangle area. So if I personally find you a buyer, I will actually be able to refer that buyer out to a buyer's agent so I can stay fully representing you in the negotiations, and that buyer's agent can fully represent that buyer. That way there's no like mismatch. Like I can actually stay on your side to get you the absolute highest price. Does that
Yeah,
answer
thank
the
you for
question?
it does because I would be a little bit concerned obviously if you are working with us to make sure that we get the most money. If you bring the buyer as well and you have to also work with the buyer, then obviously you would need to work on behalf of the buyer. So I would prefer what you said, which is referring the buyer out. So thank you for that. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so we talked about how I'm gonna actually find the buyer for your property now. And so the second piece to this that I wanted to share with you, because don't get me wrong, I mean, all of the agents in our market do the passive activity, which is put the home in the MLS. We talked about the professional photos and videography. They're going to put the sign in the yard and they're going to host an open house. I know you said your previous agent held an open house. So I will do all of those things except I do not hold an open house. Can I share why with you?
Okay. Yeah, sure. Why is
Okay.
that?
Yeah, so agents host open houses so that they can actually get buyer leads. So there's been stats that show that the percentage of buyers that walk through an open house and actually end up purchasing that specific property is less than 1%. So you're living in this house right now with you and your husband. I am not going to kick you out of your house for hours on the weekend so that strangers who may or may not be interested in buying at this time, may or might not have the money to actually purchase your house, come and look through your beautiful house when they have no intention of actually buying now, just so that I can get more buyer leads. Because that's what agents do. They're able to get new buyer leads and then actually go sell them other houses. So I know how to find buyers for
Interesting.
my listings. I don't have to have you leave your house and have strangers come through in order to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Thank you for explaining that.
Awesome. Okay. So the second portion of this too that I wanted to share with you in terms of my marketing plan is the MLS, since I'm obviously going to be using this tool, right? And the interesting thing about this is that the top 5% of agents in our marketplace right now, they sell 95% of the homes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I bring this up to you, Shanira, because when you think about it, I mean, the top 5% of agents, they're selling all of the real estate here. So you would have to imagine that they need to be informed that your house is for sale, right?
That's correct. Yeah, they need to know.
And putting it in the MLS, to be honest, it's not enough. I mean, there's over 55 homes for sale right now in our area. I mean, it's just like a needle in a haystack. It needs to be able to stand out through professional photos, an aggressive marketing plan, and I will personally contact the top 5% of agents who are working with buyers so that they have a copy of all the features and benefits of your house on hand for them.
Gotcha. Okay, so when you say an active marketing plan, that's what you mean is you're prospecting and reaching out to the agents in the area. Is there anything else that I need to be aware of, Gabriella, about what your active marketing plan that you're referring to actually entails?
Yeah, and let me just add this to you. So obviously when I say I'm reaching out to these people, I'm doing it because I'm not hoping and praying it gets in front of the right people. I am going to make sure that it gets in front of the right agents. And so that is my aggressive marketing plan. Can you see how working with an agent like me that is proactive and is going to go out there and make things happen for you is going to help you get the house sold this time?
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, you do sound different from other agents that we've spoken to, so I appreciate you sharing this information. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so it sounds like at this time we're ready to shift into looking at pricing.
Yes, we are. I understand how you're going to market our property. Do we need to put any money up front, Gabriella, for the photos or any of the, you said you might share brochures with top agents. Can you explain to me how that process works? Because our previous agent, again, he didn't take photos. I don't know if we should have paid for them. I'm a little bit confused about that. So can you share about how that process works?
Yeah, absolutely. So the amazing deal that you have as a seller working with me is that I pay for all of the marketing up front. I aggressively market your property and I pay for the photos, I pay for the
Okay.
videography, and I only get paid once we get to closing. So once you actually get an offer that is acceptable to you, you sign on that offer, we get through our due diligence, we get through our appraisal, and we're actually at the closing table. So no, you don't have any out of pocket kind of cost that falls on
Okay.
you.
Okay. Makes sense. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah. And you know what? Something else that I think is important for us to talk about is what communication is going to look like since we're going to be working together, right? So, obviously, communication is really important for you. And what you can expect is that every week on Mondays is when I do my seller calls. So, I'm going to call you, I'm going to update you on the feedback of the showings that we got throughout the weekend. So I'm going to give you any feedback from the buyers and their agents about price, condition, any offers that we might have. I'll walk you through that. Also, what you can expect is I'll keep you up to date with the market. If your neighbor goes
Okay.
and lists their house, that's going to change things with us. So you need to be aware of the active competition as well as any new pendings, any new expireds in the area. Or any new closed, which can also change things for us. So you're going to be up to
What do
date.
you mean by that, Gabrielle? I'm sorry. What do you mean? How can that information change things for us? I mean, if we list it at a certain price, we're really hoping not to have to, reduce any further because that is our bottom line. So can you explain how, another neighbor's house selling is going to affect us?
Yeah, this is such a good question. So, okay, we're shifting into pricing, which we're not going to go through comps, but that's okay. So I'll
Yeah,
just
yeah.
go through this.
Okay.
So when we think about pricing, right? So you and your husband, you guys obviously financed when you bought this house, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we did.
Okay, perfect. Because 90% of the buyer pool here, they also finance. So they're going to be, they have a bank, and that bank is going to order an appraisal. report, and that appraiser is going to come out and they're going to appraise the property, and they're going to use 3 like kind comparables. So
Okay.
we're looking at the price right now, right? Let's say there's another house that's pending down the street that's very
Mm-hmm.
comparable to your house, and let's say it closes tomorrow.
Okay.
Now that's a new comp for us that is going to, it could shift things. It could shift things up, it could shift things down, or it could just keep things neutral. And we have no control over that because it's, somebody else's house and what they chose
Makes
to
sense.
sell it for. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yeah. So basically what you're saying, Gabriella, is that, your active and aggressive approach will drift onto the fact that you're looking at the market and keeping me informed about what sells or goes under contract, because that might affect our price.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
gotcha, that makes sense. And Gabriella, how would you, handle that? Because if we really don't want to lower the price of our home, at that point, what would the conversations be like? Do we cancel the contract with you, or how can you explain to me about that? Because again, our previous agent just really never communicated, and it seems like you are an over communicator and you communicate very well. So I do want to know about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's some interesting stats, right? So pretending that we already went through some comps together.
Mhm.
So have you ever heard of NAR? It's called National Associations of Realtors.
I've never heard of it, no.
All right, so this organization, they've been around for literally decades, like since like the 1970s. And what they do every year is they publish this report. It's called the Profile of Home Buyers and Sellers. And see, it's like 140 pages, and I don't expect you to ever look at this. I mean, I'm a real estate agent. So they posted within one of the sections of this report that they found on average at a national level too, is that within the first 14 days on market, that is our time to shine. That is our time to stand out. Within the first 14 days, if your house is aggressively marketed, it stands out, which it will be when you're listed with me. If we don't have an acceptable, if we have like between 8 to 10 showings in that time and an offer in hand, we are priced in alignment with market. If in
Okay.
that first, yeah, in that first 14 days, we get 7 to 5 showings and no offers, that is the market's way of telling us we are 5% overpriced. If we get 3, 2, or even worse, no showings in that first 2 weeks, that means the market is telling us we are 10% or more overpriced. You see, so I'm
That
very
makes
upset
sense.
with, yeah, these stats, and this is the conversation that we need to have in order to make sure that we're in alignment. My job is to help you get it sold for the absolute highest price this market is willing to bear. And so if in that first 2 weeks things aren't moving, my marketing plan is a proven strategy. It works. The only thing that we're testing here is the price. Does that make sense?
That does make sense, Gabrielle. And to be honest, you sound very, knowledgeable and like you know what you're talking about. My husband and I will just have to think about it. Like I said, we do have another interview with another agent tomorrow, and we're gonna see how it goes. So we'll definitely, give you a call. But this does make perfect sense.
Right. Amazing. Well, Shanira, let me ask you this. I mean, based off of, our conversation together here, I mean, do you feel as confident as I do that I can get the job done this time?
I do feel confident. You do make us feel confident. Yes. To be
Amazing.
honest, we're just, the agent that we're meeting with tomorrow, she is a top agent in the area as well. We didn't do as much research when we hired the first agent, unfortunately. So, I feel like we got burned, to be honest. But, you sound great. We're curious to see what she has to say tomorrow. So we'll definitely, keep you posted.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate it. Shanira, I actually took the liberty to actually pull an agent scorecard for us because I know that you were planning to meet with this other agent. And so I wanted to just do some research and give you some more information. So I actually have that here with me. Um,
Okay.
Pretending it's right here. So what I actually pulled is this agent's last 12 months of sales compared to my own last 12 months of sales. I also
Okay.
pulled the expired. So these are listings that this agent took, right, that didn't end up selling. And that's an important stat for you because you don't want to list with somebody who, takes listings but doesn't sell them. And then I
Mm-hmm.
also took the average days on market for my listings and the average list to sales price ratio. So you can see here, I mean, this is the report for you. You can see that.
Gabriella,
Mhm.
sorry, before you continue, what does the days on market mean? Can you explain that a little bit? I'm not too familiar.
Yeah, no, this is such a good question. So the average days on market in your area, right, in your zip code is currently right now 21 days. So it takes about 3 weeks to get under contract.
Oh,
So
okay. So that means that a house goes under contract. Gotcha. Okay.
yes, exactly. And then usually closes 30 to 45 days after that 21-day period. So the reason I bring up average days on market is because the interesting thing is the longer a house sits on the market, the less money it ends up actually selling for. So since you're buying a house, obviously on the buy side, you're working with an agent. So when you're looking, since you're looking locally here, and this agent tells you, the average days on market in this area is 3 weeks, and you see a house for sale that's been on the market for 5 months, what
Mm-hmm.
questions would you have for your agent before you would even consider seeing that house?
Can you repeat the question, Gabriella? I'm sorry.
So if I was your buyer's agent and I told you
Mm-hmm.
the average days on market is 3 weeks, and
Okay.
I showed a house to you or I shared it with you, right, via text, and it was on the market for 5 months,
Oh, I
what
see.
questions would you have for me before we would even think about seeing it?
Gabriella, what's wrong with this house?
Hmm.
Maybe it has big issues. I would be nervous to be honest, because if it's sitting on the market for that long, as a buyer, I do see what you mean. That's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we don't want that for your house. I mean, your house is beautiful. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no reason for for people to think that. And so you can imagine that I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? It's in the stats. My average days on market right now is 14 days. So I sell
Wow.
homes quickly, and my list to sales price ratio is 103%, right? And
Oh,
so
wow.
when I
Okay.
pulled the other agents, I mean, it's right here. Their average list to sales price ratio in the last 12 months is 98. Okay, so they're selling for on average 5% less than mine. And their average days on market is 48 days. So it's taking a lot longer to get homes sold. And they tend to go for on average a bit less than mine, about 5%, which that is a lot of money
Interesting.
that we're talking about, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. That's it's so interesting that you took the liberty to pull up this information, Gabrielle. I'm actually pretty impressed. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, Shanera, I feel confident that I am the best agent to help you get the home sold. So, all we have to do now is just go ahead and get the listing paperwork ready to go, and then we can start, marketing your property aggressively. So, I just need you to go ahead and sign right there.
well, we still want to think about it, Gabriella, and we are very impressed with you. Like
Mm.
I said, the fact that, you sound very knowledgeable and, professional. But we're curious about this other agent, and we just need to think about it. Once we meet with the both of you, we can, holistically, think about both presentations and take it from there and give you guys a call afterwards. So we'll let you know.
Okay, okay. No, I totally understand where you're coming from and wanting to do your due diligence, right? This time, you want to make sure that you cross your T's and dot your I's, especially because of your past experience. So obviously, since I'm your first appointment that you're meeting with, right? And then the second person is your last.
Yes, exactly. She's my last tomorrow. She's our last.
I understand. Okay. And when were you thinking that you and your husband would reach a final decision on whatever direction you choose?
By tomorrow night, we should know once we meet with her. Like I said, we are very impressed with you, but we are curious to see, what she has to say and if there are any differences between her marketing approach and yours. And, we'll keep you posted.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Gabriella.
Okay. All right. That's it. I got a little bit stuck right there.
No, you did really good. I think that the scorecard was really good.
Mm.
I was just trying to be a hard seller. Like,
Yeah.
I've gotten that. In real life, I think, I should have given you the appointment, but I think you did everything without being pushy as well. You sounded very professional. You were very prepared. So, like I said, I was very impressed with your entire presentation. Um, sometimes I think from my experience, sellers will, and I think it's probably lack of skills, right?
Mm.
You don't get the yes. But seeing how you present is actually good learning for me, obviously, because you sound a lot more confident and you're much more prepared. So I would have given you the appointment. I should have. It's just I was trying to be a hard ass.
Yeah, not all of them do either,
Yeah,
right? And
this is really
so
good.
yeah, that's can be a challenge. It's like actually it's been my freaking challenge for the past like few weeks where I'm like doing presentation, everything's good, and they're like, I still want to think about it. And they'll still some of them will still circle back to me, but it's just like, oh,
Yeah,
I want to get
yeah.
it now.
Yeah, no, you handled it very well. And to be honest, I think if you would have kept like if you would have kept pushing me, maybe it would have been a turn off. The fact that you said, okay, well, and then you could have followed up with me like tomorrow night, because everyone's different too. You know how we spoke about personalities. I
Yes.
think with some sellers, if you leave it at that, it's like perfect. And then tomorrow night, more than likely, you would have got the listing. You know what I mean? I think you did really well. Let me see. I have some notes here. Um, yeah, I think I said for the most part all of my positive feedback for you. You seem very prepared and you sound like you know what you're talking about. I didn't see you reading scripts or anything like that. The communication aspect of it, I don't know if maybe you wanted to bring that up at the beginning, since I said as a seller that that was like one of my biggest concerns was, the agent, rarely spoke to us. But once you discuss what you said, that every Monday you have a call where you provide the market updates and all of that, you went into detail about what your communication is like and what they can expect, which I think is really good. Just maybe talk about it at the top, since that seemed to be their biggest issue. Maybe I could have brought it up sooner as well. But that was pretty much it. What else? What else did I have here? And I have a question for you in general. When you are presenting your marketing, right, do you have a visual for them? And this goes back to personality types, because I
Mhm.
know, no, okay.
No,
Because,
I just bring this folder, which I guess is blurring out, but
yeah, it's fine.
I just bring this folder and then I have my like comps there, and then I
Mhm.
have just like the listing, what's it called, listing agreement, disclosure stuff, and then I just use this, which obviously it's gonna blur out, but
Okay.
this is
That's fine.
what I use when I talk about pricing strategy and pricing below market value, because I try to get my listings to price a little bit below market value. That way I know that they're gonna sell fast.
Yeah.
Not every
Yeah.
seller does it, but yeah, that's the only thing. But I don't use like a visual presentation. My presentation is me speaking,
Which
having
is
eye
good.
contact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That was just a question that I had, because you hear so many things, and it can be effective with a visual, but you were very effective without one as well, to be honest. So, it's totally fine. I don't know if anyone else has any other feedback for Gabriella
Hey
or
guys,
me as
it's
well.
Demetria. Oh no, it's fine.
Now,
Hey guys,
Gabriella,
Demetria.
what is your feedback about your own presentation? We didn't hear that.
Okay. So I feel like so on the pre-qualification, obviously you guys didn't hear that, but she did say that communication was like a major pain point for her. And I almost forgot to bring that up, to be honest. So that definitely would have been something that would have been important to bring up at the beginning before going into like marketing strategy. So definitely, I think that could have been better. And then in terms of getting the signature, just me being a driver, I'm just like, oh my god, like just sign it, like you feel good, like what are we like dragging our feet about? So I don't know, I'm trying to figure out that piece of things too, given that I use this scorecard information to like give her more stats. um One thing that I do think that I could work on a bit more is like mirroring and matching her a little bit. So I feel like maybe I was talking a bit louder and she was a bit more softer. Um, Maybe I interrupted her a few times, like those like nuances.
So,
Um,
Gabriella, as you're
yeah.
speaking, I'm remembering some feedback for you as well. And is that obviously I'm an agent and I know what you're talking about, but sometimes, and you are very like knowledgeable, obviously, but sometimes the seller doesn't know like what the days on market means, or why something is important to the seller. For example, when you said, during my communication with you, I'm going to let you know, what the average days on market is, or when you're explaining her scorecard, you said, her average days on market is this, and whatever else. Sometimes maybe you lost me a little bit, and not me, but as a seller, right? Because I
Yeah.
don't know exactly, obviously as realtors, we know why that's important, but maybe explain what that is before, and why it matters to the seller before going into the numbers and the details, because otherwise it kind of goes over their head because they're like, okay, what is this and why does it matter, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's really good feedback. All right,
Anyone
no.
else? Tanisha, Luciana,
Oh, hey guys, good morning.
good morning.
So I got little pieces of it, and one of the things that I like about the presentation was letting the client know the difference between being proactive in the marketing versus passive. I think that's extremely important. That's something that I'm learning as an agent, because sometimes your brokerage, they don't teach you that, the importance of really like stepping into the listing to make sure that it sells and not just, again, relying on MLS. So that's good to point out. The scorecard was good. It's a way to speak about your competition without necessarily speaking down upon them. So that's a good thing to pull out if you feel like you're dealing with competition. And that's pretty much it. Like you was being consistent, and you came out gracefully. Like this, she said you didn't want to be too aggressive and turn someone off. So you was persistent enough to kind of say, hey, 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 hey. And then you kind of backed out and still gave them an opportunity to choose, which, like you said, you probably would have gotten the list. And so that was just my feedback, just letting them know the difference between being passive and being proactive in the marketing.
Hello, everyone. Well, thank you for having me here for the first time. I'm super new.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm super new, and I'm very impressive with Gabriella's presentation. I'm new as a sales extreme. And here in Florida, we do the transaction brokerage relationship, which you call my attention when she says, I'll refer the buyer. I don't know if everyone's doing that, but in here is the goal of most top agents are to get the both relationship. The transaction broker is the normal way to sell here. So you get higher commission. That's what most listing agents do. I don't know if it's in your state. I know New York and some other
It's
states is not.
legal. Yeah, it's legal to do dual agency. I always was taught on my team that like we don't do that. I mean, so I would just always tell my sellers at the listing presentation, if I find you a buyer, I'm gonna refer them out, and then I get a referral fee. So
Okay.
that way it's not like I'm like in between. So I actually don't practice dual agency, but it's something I'm thinking about changing, because I'm like, I could, get the full 6% instead of like getting
Yeah,
one.
and here it's like without saying anything, it's assumable in the Florida that you get a transaction brokerage relationship. You don't need to say anything at all. Like it's assumable. Like we signed the BBA, right? Like it's new for us here, but up north in New York is not. But as soon as that I have a buyer and I present to the listing to the sellers, I don't need to have anything signed with the buyer. Like only like to show that I'm doing what agents I'm doing is assumable is a transaction brokerage agents. So, but that caught my attention because it gives more security to the seller for sure. The seller feels like I felt like, oh, so she does pay attention. She does everything for me, because you can, especially when we have buyers or sellers from up north, they have those questions. Oh, how you guys gonna represent both sides? Like, but in here is assumable. But yeah, Gabriella, in our presentation was spectacular. Just I'm super new. I'm very impressed. And I agree with Shanira. Maybe it sounds totally conversational. I know it's scripted, but when like she brought up the communication, I agree with her. Maybe just focus on her first questions, I guess. That was my feedback too.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you, Tanisha and Luciana.
Okay, I think it was a really good presentation, of course, really, really good. Who Shania was a really sweet, difficult seller. It's
Mhm.
really confusing. Like, are you being nice to me? Am I getting the listing, or are you just, I don't know.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Sorry.
but no, it's good. You actually made also her comfortable, and usually this type of seller helps you be comfortable during the listing presentation. Well, like I said, you know the stats. Maybe you need to provide to our specific group a class on stats to present stats because you're doing it really, really, really good.
Mm.
Also on the part where you brought the agent's, score sheet, which we always do, I think you presented it really, really good, and how you break down how it takes them time to sell and all that. So, with you being with your way of speaking, it's really soft. I wouldn't mind if you are a little bit pushy, but just continue with your way of speaking and being pushy. Maybe learning different ways to continue being pushy without being pushy. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Like you mean
And
at the close?
well, yes, when she gave you objections, like, oh, like I'm gonna speak to this other agent, and maybe we can all learn different ways to crush our competition without making it feel like we're crushing our competition. But we have to learn that. Even myself, I had to learn that because you already show her that the agent is not selling. Now, is
Right.
there anything else? You have to find ways. You have to like all of us, we need to learn that because I'm sure I don't really know how to do that. So we have to really show the seller that we are better in a very nice way. And the last thing is when she was talking about, is this the only thing that you do? Is that your aggressive marketing, like calling and all that? I know she was being sweet, but she wasn't. She wasn't sweet. She was saying, "Is that it? Is it something magical else that you do?" I think she was hoping for more. And then she said, "What's gonna happen if you get the buyer and the dual representation?" So what I usually do, I don't know if you guys do that or feel like it's going to be important. What I usually say is that I usually refer, because my job is to help you make the most money possible. I never represent the buyer and the seller. I refer the agent to one of my team member for a reduced commission because they will only handle the documents. So we shouldn't be expecting them to get a 3% because you didn't even find the buyer. You know what I mean? I say that to the listing presentation. Hold on.
That's good.
Hold on. Give me a second.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's what I do. And then also I share them this, let me show you. I shared them this. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yes.
I have this stat. You show them, hey, do you see here it says seller, 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 then buyer and seller, and then here it says both. And I ask them, hey, what do you think this means? They usually say, oh, the seller, I mean, you help someone sell and you also help the same seller buy another property. And I said, no, I was able to bring the buyer to you, and one of my team member represented the buyer. And that's why you see it, it shows like that. So I don't know if I did a good job explaining that.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
But other than that, I mean, obviously the presentation was great. Good start. You very knowledgeable. Great job, Shanira, for being a sweet, typical seller. Different personality. I will love it.
Hey, Naomi, I have a question for
Mhm.
you. Before I let you guys go. So right now I'm taking an NLP class and I'm learning about, and it was so funny because I was practicing this yesterday on a presentation, like with a seller. Like, I would do gestures with my face. I'd go like this, and she would do them too. And she would go like this. And then as soon as I stopped smiling and I would go like this, she would stop and go like this. So that was just something that I want to start practicing and implementing, like with our presentations, is like the mirroring the body language.
Mhm.
So that was something I was trying to be a little bit conscious of. And then what I was going to ask you is with the visual part of your presentation. So if you're doing an in-person presentation and like, are you having your laptop and you're going through like slides, or how is that working?
So I use my, how you call this, my iPad. I have like a huge iPad that I bring. It's not too huge, it's normal. I use it. And I have internet on my iPad. Or you can use your phone and share hotspot. So
Yeah.
it's already on it. It's really good because they can hold the iPad, they can go through it by themselves, and we just go over. Yeah. And also I bring a folder with similar graphics, and then I just leave them. Even if I get the listing sign, I just leave that with them.
Okay. All right, cool.
Mhm.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. I think next Saturday I will be the seller and Shania is going to be the agent.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
All right. Thank you. Have a blessed weekend.
Thank
You
you,
too.
guys.
Bye,
Have a
everyone.
good one.
Thank you.